you have to book the cottage.
You have to book?
Oh, yes.
Well, have you a phone number there that anybody could book it?
Well, you may ask Pearl that question.
Pearl, what's that number?
The number is 295
How long now? 29540
517.
517. Just repeat that again, Pearl. No, take it easy and go slow.
The number is, it's a Kilrea number, 295 40517.
That's good. What nights are you open down there?
Well, we just open, when groups book us. We don't really do individual bookings, but I am into reminiscence work, and how we started with the little cottage, bringing people. I would be out round the countryside, and we'd be talking about all sorts of things, about old things for older people, and then I would always have brought a group to finish off the sessions. I brought them to Rosie's. Rosie's is not a museum, it is just a little house where people can have fun. We have a few things sitting around that triggers people's imagination. Up on the mantelpiece we would have 2 dogs, and nearly everybody who comes onto the cottage will say, oh, my mother had those 2 dogs, she was very proud of them, or I let one drop and my eye fell out of it. And so just little ordinary things. There's nothing stylish about the cottage. We still have a concrete floor. The wind comes on through the door, and but a big roaring fire on just helps. And it triggers people's memory of, most people tell me, the good old times.
Yeah. The good old times were good old times. Now, you were saying there about groups. How many people can be in a group? Could I take a group of 100 down there, or 20?
Well, the biggest group that we've ever had was 78 people came from Belfast, but we divided them up. You need to be divided up to go into the cottage, because we want everybody to be able to sit down, touch everything that's around, and just have a bit of fun. And Rosie provides the entertainment. Maybe I told you this, when I asked her first, she said, I can't talk. And it's very funny, because she's just the highlight of the visit.
She's the star of the party the night I was down anyway. I thought you were.
We had a group of blind people to the cottage, and I was interested to see just how they would react. And it was just amazing, the smells they were picking up, the smell of the turf fire, the stick, the smell of damp that was in the little cottage, and the smell of the oil lamps. So they were sort of able to experience something that we hadn't thought about.
Yeah, well, I was certainly down in the cottage, and I did see those things that you're talking about, and smell the dampness and everything. But you take them out of the cottage, and then you take them round to a flashy place where you can make your tea and all, and music and all. And I was down there. You mind the school teacher was down, she was playing the harp, and she's coming here to play on the radio for us. Could you tell us a wee bit about that house we were in that's so flashy?
Well, once we got Rosie's cottage fixed, we sort of got the bug. Both my husband and I love old houses, and we can't understand how anybody wants to knock down an old house. The other cottage was an old barn, and it's on the site of historic house. If you're driving out of Kilrea, on the left-hand side you will see a windmill, and then just past it you will see a black stone house. And the black stone house has this little barn, and we were able to fix up the barn where we entertain, where people love a cup of tea when they come. The black stone house was built in the early 1700s, and it has now been listed by Historic Monuments as a house like a typical Ulster farmhouse, black stone with red brick round the windows. So the little barn, it sort of evolved from being a barn in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, and then my brother-in-law used it to keep pigs. So there used to be 88 pigs kept in this barn. My my husband's grandfather and his daughter lived in the house in the 1920s, and they had a byre, and they didn't have 100 cows, they just had 2 or 3 cows. So in the byre end, that's where we make the tea.
Well, thank you very much for giving us that insight into Rose's Cottage. If anybody wants to book you, all they have to do is phone 295 40517, and we'll maybe be hearing from you again.
Thank you very much.
Very, very much.
We have a couple of requests as well from McKee's here. The girls in the vegetable end of McKee's have asked us to play a song for Norman, the #1 butcher in McKee's. So we're going to play American Pie for them, and we also have a request from Derek and Jack Fleming and James Kelso to play a wee song for them, which we have a couple of songs coming up there right after American Pie.
Thank you.
Was that your request?
That was very good. Wasn't that good?
No,
I play it was under us. And we'll maybe get those back again to talk about something else.
We the boy can put us down for Thursday or Friday afternoon. If you want to
Just how you want this.
The red button.
Friday afternoon, aye.
Red button.
I press the red button.
Yeah, that's it there.